Health classes in high school tell us that the length of our menstrual cycle should be 28 days. But how many of us have a 28-day menstrual cycle? I'll give you a hint. Not many. Menstrual cycle length will be different for everyone, and the length of your menstrual cycle will also vary from cycle to cycle. So, after this video, you will understand what a normal menstrual cycle length is. You'll be able to identify if you have a short or long menstrual cycle, and you will also understand what is happening hormonally in your body in each of these circumstances. Then, I'll teach you how to track your menstrual cycle using a period app, or help you calculate the length of your menstrual cycle using a simple paper calendar if that's what you prefer. But to put this information into context, you first need to understand that your period is just one event that happens within your menstrual cycle. And in this video, I'll help you understand your menstrual cycle and all the events that happen within this monthly cycle of yours. So let's get into it. Your period is what happens when you bleed. It is the most obvious part of your menstrual cycle. And in a healthy period or a healthy menstrual cycle, you will get your period and bleed approximately every month. This bleed happens within your menstrual cycle, and your menstrual cycle is controlled by a series of hormonal events that happen from one period to the next. These events include 1, your period, 2, the follicular phase, which leads to 3, ovulation, and after ovulation you have 4, the luteal phase. When pregnancy doesn't happen, the lining will be shed and your cycle will begin back at your period. Please check out my previous videos, Anatomy and Hormones and Menstrual Cycle Explained, to get a full explanation of the hormones, the phases, and the menstrual cycle. The length of your menstrual cycle will be counted from day 1 of full menstrual flow, or day 1 of your period, and it will last until the day before your next period begins. Now, the considered normal length of your menstrual cycle will depend on what stage you are in life, whether you are a teenager or an adult. I'll first talk about what is normal and what is expected for teenagers. Now, for teenagers, the follicular phase, which was the second hormonal event that happens within each menstrual cycle, this follicular phase can be longer because it takes a longer time for ovulation to take place when the hormonal system of teenagers is still maturing. Therefore, a healthy menstrual cycle length can be anywhere from 21 days to 45 days. When a teenager first gets their period, it is normal to be irregular. They could experience as little as 2 bleeds in the first year. And after 2 years, your menstrual cycle should start to have a bit of a regular pattern, and it can take up to 4 years to be regular and what is normal and healthy for you. Now, for adults, a healthy menstrual cycle length can be anywhere from 21 to 35 days. 28 days is what they consider average or a textbook menstrual cycle. A menstrual cycle length that is not normal and not considered healthy is anything that is shorter than 21 days or longer than 35 days. So let's explore the menstrual cycle length a little bit more. Regular menstrual cycles and periods suggest that ovulation is happening. And in order to have balanced hormones and optimal fertility, ovulation must happen. If you have irregular cycles, short or long, or absent periods, this suggests ovulation dysfunction. And we want to find out the cause so we can better balance your hormones and regulate your menstrual cycle. The length of your follicular phase can vary depending on many things. The luteal phase, however, which happens after ovulation, typically doesn't vary any more than 10 to 16 days because the luteal phase depends on the lifespan of the corpus luteum. In a healthy cycle where your menstrual cycle length is 21 to 35 days, your hormones are better balanced and you should be able to predict ovulation. If your cycles are short, so less than 21 days, this could be due to a short follicular phase or a short luteal phase. Long cycles that are longer than 35 days could be due to delayed ovulation. Here we usually see a longer follicular phase with a luteal phase that is a normalish length. It is possible to have long cycles where ovulation doesn't occur at all. If ovulation doesn't happen, then the corpus luteum won't be formed, you won't have progesterone being produced, and then there will be no luteal phase. Your body could be in a perpetual state of a follicular phase. You could either have a total absence of a period because you haven't ovulated, or you could experience a bleed, but that's simply because the lining eventually has to shed because it's still being stimulated by estrogen. With the assistance of an experienced hormone healthcare practitioner, we can help you identify the cause by charting your menstrual cycle and then provide the right treatment. And you don't need to do this alone. If you are interested in learning how to chart your own cycle, then in the description box below, there will be a link to my course, Master Your Menstrual Cycle. So you can check that out. But whatever you do, just start tracking your menstrual cycle right now. The easiest way to track is by using a period app as you carry your phone with you everywhere. The first day of heavy bleeding, you will mark in your period app as day 1 of your menstrual cycle, and the next time your period comes, you will enter this again as day 1. And the app will do all the work for you, and it will track your menstrual cycle length as long as you remember to enter your period when it comes. You can also use a calendar or a diary to mark your period when it comes every month. That is just as easy. And now I'm going to show you how to calculate the length of your menstrual cycle using a calendar. The length of your menstrual cycle will be counted from day 1 of your period. Now this is day 1 of full menstrual flow, and it will last until the day before your next period begins. So if we use the month of August as an example, and let's just say that you get your period on the 2nd of August. This then means that the 2nd of August becomes day 1 of your menstrual cycle. So we will mark day 1, the 2nd of August, with a 1 in that top right-hand corner. Now let's say that your period lasts for 4 days. So that means that the 3rd of August becomes your 2nd day of your menstrual cycle, the 4th of August becomes your 3rd day of your menstrual cycle, and the 5th of August becomes the 4th day of your menstrual cycle. Now every day that passes, place the number of the cycle day that you are on in that right-hand corner so you can continually know what cycle day you are on. Now let's say you get your next period on the 25th of August, so this then becomes day 1 of your next menstrual cycle. So 25th of August, this is now day 1 of your next menstrual cycle. So I'll now restate that the length of your menstrual cycle goes from day 1 of your period until the day before your next period. So if we know that your next period begins on the 25th of August, we now know that the 24th of August was the last day of your last menstrual cycle. And if you have placed a little number in the corner of each day, it will be clear the length of this menstrual cycle. But let's count together now. So we add, this is day 5 of this menstrual cycle, day 6, day 7, day 8, day 9, day 10, day 11, day 12, day 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So this menstrual cycle becomes a length of 23 days. So this is a 23-day menstrual cycle because your next period begins on the 25th of August, and from the 2nd of August to the 25th of August is 23 days. Now let's do another example, and let's just say that your period comes on the 31st of August instead of the 25th of August. We would then continue to number your calendar each day. So this would become 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and remember you get your period on the 31st, so this then becomes day 1. So the length of your menstrual cycle in this example is 29 days because from the 2nd of August to the day before the 31st of August when you get your next period is 29 days, and that's the length of your menstrual cycle. After this demonstration, I hope you can now track your period and your menstrual cycle, and now you can determine the length of your menstrual cycle by using a simple paper calendar method. Now, after you track the length of your menstrual cycle for a few months, you will be able to work out the average length of your cycle. And then you can count forward to estimate when your next period might come. Pretty cool, huh? Remember that every single menstrual cycle length can change, but it is nice to be able to predict your next period and have a rough idea based on your average menstrual cycle length. If you use a period app to track your period and your menstrual cycle lengths, every month it will calculate your average menstrual cycle length based on all of the recorded menstrual cycles. And then it will estimate the date of your next 12 periods. But more important than estimating the date of your next period is the information and data that this collects about your menstrual cycle and about your hormones, as this can tell us what your hormones may be doing and if there are any possible hormonal imbalances. If your menstrual cycle length is shorter than 21 days or longer than 35 days, it is likely that you are suffering from hormonal imbalances. And for other symptoms and signs of hormonal imbalances, please check out my previous video, 13 signs and symptoms of hormonal imbalances in women and why they occur. See you there.